Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and I just see myself in the camera. I see I got a little boo boo on my face. Oh, I got a boo boo on my face.
Oh,
Must have been where I was weed eating earlier. Anyway, this is the Stuff I Heard podcast. I have my wife here with me today. Hello, wife.
hello, wife.
So, Dolores and I just got back from a really epic vacation, and we kind of wanted to talk about it. If you guys aren't aware, I had done some videos on YouTube under Joshua Peak, or you can find it under Stuff I Heard. And I got a whole playlist of us doing some fun stuff in Jamaica, man. I think that's how you're supposed to say it. Jamaica, man. Like it's just
Yeah, man.
the thing you're supposed to say after you say Jamaica. Jamaica, man. We had a really great vacation. We were able to rent a house with a bunch of friends. And I don't remember how exactly it came up in the beginning, but
It came up in the beginning. We actually went on this trip with it was supposed to be 8 people. It was the Shaws and us, and then there was a couple from Ohio that we've met many times. They have visited down here to the Shaw's house. We've been up there and visited, and um, and then Cheryl and Lori's sister was supposed to go. We've all went. Most of us went to Grenada. The couple that went from Ohio was a different couple than what went with us to Grenada. But the couple from Ohio got this as a recommendation. They have friends that has stayed in this particular house 4 times over the last few years. They really like it, and they mentioned it, and we started doing some digging into it. Lori actually did most of the she did all of the travel plans as far as the house goes. And this house was in a residential type gated community. And I'm sure people live there full time, but a lot of the homes are rental homes that people own as vacation type homes. It's listed on a website. You can rent the houses for different uh, time periods, different times of the year. We chose this, what, third week of April, last week of April, last full week of April, and the house was very reasonable. It was a 4 bedroom, 4 bath house, oceanfront. This house actually came with a staff, had a full-time cook, housekeeper, and then there was a groundskeeper that kept the grounds and the pool cleaned. And those people worked every day from about, what would you say, like 9 to 5 every day?
well, we didn't see the groundskeeper that often.
That, well, we didn't see him that often, but
We saw her cook that often.
yes.
And the cleaning lady would come in later in the afternoon, and she was maybe there, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, like I said, she did laundry. She did. We She would actually do our laundry. You just needed to provide the detergent. But we went into this with 4 couples, 8 people dividing this house 8 ways, and it was definitely cheaper than renting a hotel or a resort. You and I had not. We had stayed in uh, Jamaica.
Sandals.
We stayed at a Sandals Resort in
Yeah.
Montego Bay in '05 when we got married.
Yeah.
And we've had been back to the island since, but we did it on a cruise ship. So the cruise ship ported there, and we got off and went in. And I think that was 2012 that we had actually done that. We did several excursions while we were there. I will
Well, I actually did the look on the thing. It was 2018.
2018.
Yeah, because it was 6 years ago.
Um,
Whenever we did the cruise, and
okay,
because
2018. That's right. It
that's
was
when
six
we
years ago. Yeah,
climbed
yeah,
Dunn's River Falls
right.
again. So, um,
We could definitely tell. I could tell. I know you could. Jamaica has changed
yeah,
a lot.
yeah,
One of the things we learned on one of our tours, because we did do some, we kind of did this with a little different. We had like a down day. We all flew in on Saturday morning, and you and I and the Shaws flew from Charleston. We met the couple from Ohio and Cheryl. We met them in Atlanta. We all flew from Atlanta to Montego Bay.
hmm,
And Montego Bay, the airport in Montego Bay, it's called Sangel. It's Sanger International Airport, is the largest airport in the Caribbean. There are definitely more flights, more airlines going into that island.
Yeah, we saw not only we flew in on Delta, but we saw JetBlue,
Yeah,
American.
every airline you could think of.
Yeah.
And
Um,
we were on one of our tours. It said that that is the biggest. They have the biggest airport in the Caribbean. So you
yeah.
have way more options. The flights seem to be way more reasonable. I want to say the two of us but we flew in there round trip and out for like $1,065 total.
Yeah.
And that was about $500 or $600 per person cheaper than flying to Grenada or St. Lucia, because those airports are a lot smaller and there's not as many options and or planes going in there.
Yeah, so like supply and demand. If you go to
Yes.
a place where everybody's going, you can get flights cheaper
Yeah.
sometimes, like Vegas, New York, Atlanta,
Yeah.
the bigger places that people go to all the time. You can usually get a good deal on that kind of stuff. And like you said, because Jamaica is so big, not only is it a destination, but it's for a lot of people, it's a midway point for them traveling somewhere else. What?
You don't have to look at me. You can look at the
I'm
camera.
talking to you. They listen
Yeah.
on the thing and they can
Oh,
see me
okay.
looking at you because you don't want to be on camera.
No.
You're like, I just want to talk. I don't want to
No.
be on camera.
Well,
I'm just
it's a podcast. It's not a
listen.
camera
My
fest.
executive producer has in her contract that she can be on camera whenever or whenever she
There you go.
doesn't want.
And I choose not to right now.
Right. So you got to read the fine print. I learned that on the plane, as a matter of fact. I learned the fine print story from Willy Wonka.
Oh,
The Willy Wonka movie was on the
yeah, we're
plane,
not discussing the
and he had to read the
movies,
fine
and we're
print,
not discussing the movies you watch on the
and
plane
he couldn't read.
just yet. Anyway,
Anyway,
so we planned this trip to be we flew in on Saturday, last Saturday, uh, and we had planned to take a chill day and then a excursion day, get out, do some things, and then take a day off. So we planned like every other day. So we did do excursions on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
yeah.
I will have to say this was totally different for us in the sense that we are used to resort type stays. This had its pros and cons, in my
Okay.
opinion.
So let's talk about the pros and cons because I have some pros and cons.
Yes.
Um, the the pro was first of all, financially, it was half the price of us going to an all inclusive place.
Yes, most definitely.
But weirdly, adversely, it lent you more to constantly thinking about what am I spending here? How am I spending it there? What are the prices of this? Did I bring enough money? How does the money convert? You know, should I negotiate? I know that you went shopping one day and our cook went with you and the girls, and you went to
Yes,
pay for
well, I
something,
mean,
and she kind of negotiated for you on
yes,
what you were going
well,
to do, and
they do use the Jamaican dollar,
yeah,
and
but
but they also use the US dollar a
I,
lot, and it seems like they are more and more getting toward that. But if you go in a store,
yeah,
because we went in multiple stores, we went in a supermarket the very first day we got there to buy some snacks and some alcohol
mm-hmm.
and beer, and then we had the luxury of the home that we stayed in used a local grocer. It was a very small grocery store, but apparently it had everything that our cook needed. We let her know up front that we wanted to try as many Jamaican type cuisine meals as we were all for that. She cooked a full scale large breakfast for us every morning.
Mm.
They had Blue Mountain coffee for us, and she fixed, she, in my opinion, she fixed a very big breakfast.
We had fruit.
We had fruit every breakfast, and it was fresh local fruit. Now she did get cash from us two different times to buy local fruits and vegetables, but she used the grocery store to purchase the other types of food that she needed. The house had a tab that runs from the time one crowd checks out until the next one checks out. So we started our tab the minute she bought groceries, when she had food ready for us the minute we walked in the door from coming in on Saturday. She had, I think, wings for us.
Wings.
She had really good Jamaican jerk type wings that were great. She fixed a full dinner that night, and her dinners were usually a salad. She would have an entree and a vegetable, and red beans and rice must be something that they serve at pretty much most meals, because we had that a good bit. And then she would have a homemade dessert. So the very first night we had what was it, jerk chicken,
Yep.
red beans and rice, and a salad. And she made us a fresh. She made everything fresh, homemade. She did not use anything prepackaged. We watched her in the kitchen several times. She made us key lime pie, I think, the first time.
Yeah.
But we had some fantastic food. But that tab ran all week. We went and paid that tab late in the day on Friday, and she had enough food to fix us our Friday night meal and our Saturday morning breakfast before we flew out yesterday morning. And we only spent $1,297, I think it was, which sounds like a lot.
Well,
but when you divide that by 7 people, because one person didn't get to go on this trip, it wound up being only 7 of us. We had one person in the group who had a loss in her family this week, and she just didn't go, and we completely understood why. But the 7 of us divided that total, and we paid for the full week $185 a person for food. And we ate breakfast breakfast like you would eat out at a IHOP every day. I mean, fresh, big breakfast. She would definitely fix us something a little lighter for lunch, right? We would have like wraps. One day she made hamburgers. We did some different little things like that for lunch. And then every night for dinner, she cooked amazing dinners. We had our dinners were, what were our dinners? We had jerk chicken one night. We had
the chicken was the first night, and I think the second night we had the pork chops.
Right, she had some type of marinated or
barbecue pork chops.
I don't know. They were in some type of gravy. And then we had she made fried chicken.
We had the shrimp stir fry was the third night.
We had shrimp stir fry, and I think she had actually used some leftover jerk chicken in that shrimp. It was like a shrimp fried rice, but of course it had more of a Jamaican type thing. Yeah. And
salmon. We had salmon.
We had salmon one night that had a honey glaze type sauce on it that was really good.
Yeah.
She made us fried chicken, which this woman has probably one of the best fried chicken recipes that I've ever had. I know she cooked 3 full chickens for us, and I want to say it was all eat, every last single bit of it.
Yeah.
It's I think she marinated the chicken the night before, and then you could definitely tell that she had made like an egg wash batter. It was so good.
And then the coconut shrimp one night.
We had coconut shrimp one night, which was really good.
That was your favorite, right?
That was definitely my favorite meal. Don't get me wrong, the fried chicken was good.
Well, also the shrimp, the coconut shrimp came with the hoe cakes, the little, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the little they weren't.
They were like biscuits,
but they were a cornmeal type.
Yeah, they were real fine.
But they were very dense.
It wasn't thick. It wasn't like a thicker cornmeal kind of thing here in the States. It's a real fine, almost like a biscuit.
Yeah, but it was very dense.
And then she had some that were what she called wet, and some that were dry. The wet was soaking in some kind of flavoring sauce. It was really good. I ate 2 of those.
And then the last night we had the traditional oxtail and curry goat. I did not try the curry goat.
I did.
I didn't try it. The oxtail with the gravy or the flavor, the juice that was on that, with that, pour that over your red beans and rice. That was very good.
That was a lot like beef stew. I mean, it really is. The curry goat tastes like a lot of the curry dishes that we make here without maybe the coconut flavoring. I had more of that bismati kind of taste from some of the dishes we make here with the Martha Stewart's Marley Spoon.
She made fresh dessert every night. We had
the cheesecake.
She made so many good desserts. I mean,
listen, we almost came to blows in the house about the cheesecake.
Yeah, we fought over who got the last piece of cheesecake.
That was beautiful.
The same thing with the rum cake. She made a fresh rum cake, and like I say, this woman does not prepackage anything. She makes everything from scratch. She was the sweetest, kindest person. And she absolutely, you can tell she loves to cook, and she loves for people to enjoy eating her food.
Yeah. So you and the girls got to talk to her a good bit and kind of interview her a little bit about her life.
We did. She, and I'm sure everybody's read, if you read anywhere on social media or the news, there is a lot of travel advisories for the Caribbean islands. And we expressed the interest. The guys went fishing on a deep sea fishing excursion on Wednesday. So the girls, we were all by ourselves. So we wanted to go shopping, and we wanted to go to the traditional type, not really flea market. There they call it bend down market, and the reason they call it bend down is because the items are lower. They're either on low tables or they are on the ground, which is called bend down. It was a very big area outside of one of the ports because the Disney ship was ported there. It was very busy. That day was extremely warm. It was just downright hot. But I am glad she went with us. I'm not going to say that Cheryl, Lori, and I couldn't have managed it on our own, but having her there, you could see people looking at us, knowing that we were tourists. It was very obvious we were tourists, but you could also see the minute they saw her with us, they knew not to mess with us.
Yeah.
She told us getting out before we used a, I don't know what you call the service that we use for taking us back and forth places. It's a transportation type service, shuttle service that the house uses.
It's kind of contracted for the community.
I guess it is.
For that Silver Sands community.
But our to and from the airport was about a 40-minute ride there in one way. And that was actually paid originally in our purchase of the week for the house. They bring you from the airport and take you back, but we used that same service all week for different types of excursions. And when we were on the bus, the nice tour bus, air conditioned, she told us before we got out at our very first stop, she said, wear your pocketbook on your front of your person. Do not wear it on your back, and do not keep your phone in your pocketbook. Don't reach in and out of your pocketbook or your bag often. If what few bills you're going to use, put them in the very front or put them in your pocket of your pants, your jeans, your shorts.
Yeah.
She said you just don't want to display that kind of stuff.
Well, and I feel like I've gotten a taste of that being in the Marine Corps and being stationed in some areas that are a little rough. And I get nervous because every now and then I'll see you fumbling with cash in open, and I'm like, put that away. Let's do that somewhere else, because I know what it's like when you're in some areas where people are watching and they're like, oh, we'll end up with all that if we just get this person alone.
Well, like I said,
and you're a small person, so they look at you as a target, and I don't want you to be a target. And she was there to be security as well as to negotiate.
And plus she, I know she still had her regular
things
stuff to do. Yeah, because she made a comment that we needed to be back at the house by 2. I think that was the night that she was making us fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And she said we need to be back by 2, which we were back in more than enough time. But she actually bought a few little things herself at the Bend Down Market, and she said that she goes to the Bend Down Market at least once a week for fruits and vegetables. But she also said that when she goes straight in and gets what she needs and comes straight out.
Kind of like I do at the grocery store.
Well, she said that even, even as a local, it's just like anything else. There are certain people, doesn't make any difference whether you live here or not.
Right.
They're out to gain money.
And that's also why you try to do transactions like that during the day and not later in the evening. I mean, the more you invite yourself to things to go wrong, it's going to go wrong at some point. And there's an optimal time to do some things like shopping, and during the middle of the day is that. And with somebody in groups. I mean,
but I really thought it was kind of odd. The very first thing we did because we actually went to like a regular type store. We went to a couple of, it was just like a traditional strip shopping center.
Yeah.
And we went in a store, bought a few little tiny trinket type things, little souvenir type things. And then we went to right next door to a grocery store. And of course the prices were 10 times cheaper at the grocery store. Everything is marked in Jamaican dollars, but you can tell that these people are so used to using the US dollar that they can convert really quickly in their head, because she could look at a price that was posted on something on a shelf in the grocery store, and she could tell you what it was in US dollars.
Yeah.
But when we went to the Bend Down Market, it was very, like I say, very very warm. It was on like black asphalt, top, black top. It was hot. So we stopped at like the very first thing we stopped was like this lady had a big, huge cooler full of drinks, water, you name it, any kind of, sodas, all that kind of stuff. So the four of us got like a fruit drink of some kind, like cranberry and different things like that. So I actually had only taken out a few bills. I had taken out like a five and a couple of ones, had it right in the very front of my backpack, but I had my backpack on my front. And so I had that money in my hand, and the lady that was at this little booth or whatever it's called, vendor place, I asked her how much, and she said $2 each, $8, which I thought was a very good deal because a 20-ounce drink in the store is going to cost us $3+ So
Sometimes.
I was ready to give her $8, which is what I had in my hand. And our cook, her name was Shireen. Shireen actually looked at her and she said, "No, you take six." So, and then she looked at me and said, "Pay her six." So I paid her $6. We didn't buy very much there. We went there more for the experience.
Yeah.
I think Lori bought a little, like a crossbody little pocketbook, which was really cute, and she got something for her sister. But I'm glad I did it. I mean, it was a great experience.
Yeah. And it's always best to have somebody who's local, who's helping you. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
she was looking out for y'all.
Oh
And
yeah,
that was really great.
because there were certain ways, like if we were going to go a certain, like we get to an end of a row or to the end of a grouping, it's kind of hard to say. They weren't really in rows. It was just like a whole big, huge parking lot full of these vendors. And we would go to turn a certain way and she'd go, "No, not that way, go this way." So I'm definitely glad she was
yeah.
there for that.
Yeah. Well, and if anybody's traveling abroad, I mean, try to plan stuff like this with a group. There is strength in numbers. I mean, you hear that all the time about people who are abducted in places that they tell you, don't wander off by yourself, don't stay out late by yourself. If you're going to be with a group, be with a large group, make sure everybody's accountable and they're keeping an eye on each other. Don't set your drink down, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, and
Um,
I never felt unsafe. I
no,
mean, at all, even at the bend down market, which was probably my experience of after we were left there. I was like, I'm glad we had her with us.
yeah,
But after that, we stopped at at one of their chain restaurants. It's called Juicy Patties.
mm,
And Juicy Patties are a meat patty that's kind of got like a flaky crust on the outside, and then it's like a meat pie.
yeah.
And you can get beef, chicken, shrimp. We stopped and got some of those. We enjoyed those so much that we had her send a driver out, and he got us a box of them for the next day. I think it was. We ordered like 30 of those juicy
Those are the
patties,
same things that we had when we were at the
but
airport.
they're kind of like an empanada.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
empanadas.
but
Yeah.
the juicy patty.
It's got a little Jamaican seasoning on the
Yeah,
inside, so they call it Juicy Pat. Well, that's the name brand, but it's
yeah.
like an empanada.
But we saw juicy patty stores
Yeah,
in the airport. They were all over the place.
yeah.
But there's no doubt about the fact that Montego Bay, that's the first time that you and I had been to Montego Bay in 19 years. Man, that city has really grown. You can tell that they have spent a lot of money on the infrastructure of their roads. Their roads are so much better now.
Well, and also noticed that we were in some traffic because of an accident, and it was interesting to see them reroute people because you had a barricade in between two lanes on either side, and they rerouted people to come on our side to get around an accident. I mean, it was interesting to see them kind of run the infrastructure around the accident
Yeah,
to make way. Whereas, here in the United States, a lot of
we just
times
stop
they'll
everything.
just be like, "Well, you're just going to sit and wait."
Yeah.
They were like, "No, no, no, we got to keep things moving." I mean, they were really quick on that. We did see a wildfire at one point, and they were like, "Don't worry about it. The fire brigade will put it out." And next day we came by and we didn't see the fire anywhere,
Yeah.
so they must have taken care of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I did know, of course, there they drive on what we consider the wrong side of the
The left
road,
side,
and their vehicle has the steering wheel on the opposite side
the
of
right hand
ours.
drive. Yeah,
They do drive wild, not a lot of
yeah,
red lights. It's really odd. It's really odd, of course. It's not as odd to actually be riding on the wrong side of the road as But then when you come to a roundabout, boy, that just really that messes with my head because you go through the roundabout, of course, backwards compared to
Yeah,
the
you're
way we
looking
do
the
it.
way you normally look, and it's
Yes,
coming from the other way, and you're like, "Whoa, it's over there." Yeah.
but you can tell they've really spent a lot of money. I mean, I did hear on one of the tours, I don't even remember which one now, or that they said that Montego Bay is the largest. It's not the capital of Jamaica. Kingston's the capital, but Montego Bay is the largest city,
Yeah.
has the largest airport in the any of the Caribbean islands, and it was busy. It was really busy.
So on one of the tours that I took, the fishing tour with Danny and Joe,
Mm-hmm.
um, our driver was talking a lot about vehicles. He was saying that the price of gas there averages out to about $6 a gallon in U.S. He said that in schools they're being taught their traditional language, which is the patois. It's a blending of English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, a little bit of all kind of mushed together. And it was based upon all of the people who traveled there years ago and kind of helped settle the island. But he was saying they also learn English, and he said, but lately they've had a large influx of Chinese and Russian people becoming citizens there. They bought up properties, and I asked him if they were anybody trying to learn the language of Chinese or I guess it'd be Cantonese would be the actual language, or Russian, and he said no. He said actually it's usually English and a lot of Spanish. He said we do get a lot of Spanish people coming here, and we have Spanish laborers that come here. He said so Spanish is kind of the language that most people go towards after they learn English. He said we all learn English because it's going to be the universal language of the tourists who come here because just about everybody can speak English.
Mm-hmm.
He said that you would think that we would use our Jamaican dollars for most everything, but we don't because tourism is so big. Most everybody uses U.S. money. He said he kind of figured with Chinese coming in there and taking over that they would start moving towards the Chinese yen. And he said, so far, no. He said the Chinese who have come here have used American dollars. So, that seems to be prominent there. He made a comment about the vehicles. He said that the Chinese have come in and they've brought in some vehicles that look like Toyotas but aren't Toyotas. They have the Toyota badging. Uh,
Well, they definitely have the Toyota emblem on them.
they they have Toyota
I mean,
emblems on a
because
lot
just
of
about
them.
every single car that you
Yeah.
see there, although I did notice the cars definitely look a lot newer. I
Yes.
mean, of course, it's been 19 years since you and I actually stayed at a resort there.
Yep.
But when we were there 19 years ago, a lot of the make of the vehicles that we saw were Toyota then,
Yep.
but they were just in horrible shape. I mean,
Well,
of course, the infrastructure roads was a lot different then too. You can tell that the economy, that somebody's dumping some money into that
yeah.
economy.
Well, and he said that the primary vehicles people buy are either the Toyotas or the Chinese knockoff versions.
Yeah.
But he said that they're brand new and they run great. They're super reliable. They just have a weird badging on them. A lot of their tour buses are Chinese now. He said that they were getting a lot of stuff that was used vehicles from America, but they consume too much gas. And he said now if you see like American vehicles, which he pointed out a few as we were driving around, there was a Jeep and a Dodge pickup truck. He said those are people who are really affluent, and them driving American vehicles is their way of showing off that they have money because they don't care about what the gas prices are.
Well, I mean that, like I say, I could tell a big difference in the vehicles. Even at the bend down market, the vehicles that were backed up with the tailgates open on their vehicles were a lot of really nice newer vehicles. No, I did not see any raggedy, what I would consider raggedy. I mean, they were really nice vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, you can definitely tell that the economy there is thriving with the tourism. They're using that dollar. Now, I do remember one tour guide that, when I do believe it was Friday's tour. Friday we did a, let's see, Monday we did tubing,
Yeah,
waterfall.
the
We
water
did
tube.
waterfalls, tubing, excursion, and then we went and climbed Dunn's River Falls, which you
Mm-hmm.
and I had climbed Dunn's River Falls twice before. I love it. It's great. It is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. You walk to the bottom of the falls first, which they have a really nice walkway that you walk, which is
With stairs.
with stairs. But it's not hard to navigate. That
Yeah.
part is very easy. They've really put a lot of money into that tourist attraction, which is the number one tourist attraction in that country, is Dunn's River Falls. and it's only $25 a person to climb them. There is a sign posted that says that you're supposed to climb with a guide. And you and I have always climbed with a guide, but we've always done it as an excursion off of either a resort or a cruise line. This time we did not.
Yeah.
We climbed it ourselves. It was what, six of us, and that was probably the best $25 I've ever spent in my entire life. That was
Yeah.
so much fun, and we had climbed it two other previous times with tours, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it on our own at our own pace. It was great. That was by far the most incredible day. That was a full day of activity, and we had a blast. I had a blast. I really
Well,
did. I think everybody did.
I don't know if you remember or not, or maybe my memory's bad. It usually is bad. Um, when we did the tours before with excursions, did we go down to the beach and start down
Yes,
there?
yes, both times. Oh, yeah, we've always done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this time, that's right, because I remember the stairwell,
Mm-hmm.
that last bit of stairwell. Okay. Yeah. So this time, coming down to the bottom, we saw a catamaran at the bottom on the beach, because they have a tour that brings you to that beach by, through the catamarans. And it's like a party boat and music's playing loud and everybody's having a good time. And they start at the bottom, climb the falls, and then walk back down and get back on their little ship
But
and
now
head back.
climbing the falls is not for the faint of heart. It
No,
is extremely, it's
slippery
it's very
in parts.
slippery. I mean, you have to be in shape. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're not in shape, it doesn't make any difference whether you're in shape or not. You're going to feel that the next morning.
Yeah, before we went, um, I was kind of saying that I thought that maybe our grandson could do it at his age, and maybe not. The water's kind of powerful in some
The water's
areas.
very strong in some places.
But I would, if I were going to advise somebody, what age would you say is probably a
10,
good age? 10?
I would say at least
Yeah.
10.
But make sure your 10-year-old's with you,
Yeah.
within arm's reach, so you can grab them if they slip and fall. And at times, make sure that other people are there to grab you in case you slip and fall, because
Yeah.
you will slip and fall at some point. We all did at some point.
But it was fantastic. Like I say, it was my third time doing it. And had it not been for the fact that it was our second excursion of the day, and we'd already been out, we'd already been gone a long time, I would have done it again.
Yeah. And with the $25, you could
You can
walk it
stay
and
there
then
as
do it
long as you
again.
want. Yeah.
So we've kind of talked briefly about this, but you are walking up a waterfall. There is sections where you can grip your hands and put your feet, and you can see how they've over the years kind of modified it a little bit with some plaster or concrete to kind of give you a sure foothold area. They've even put up handrails in some areas where the rocks are a little slippery. You can grab the handrail to help you up. There are some parts that you just got to kind of figure out, and there's more than one path to take, because we got one friend of ours, Danny, who just looked at the rocks and went, I want to go that way. It looks the most complicated. And he's just,
But it's still not something you can do extremely quickly. I mean,
no.
you've got to take your time because you have to be sure what rocks are slippery. I mean,
Yeah.
which ones are and aren't. Because if you step on, I mean, I think all of us crashed.
Yeah.
We wiped out at least once. Everybody did.
I think Todd was the only one with an actual visible
Yeah, I think you
place where
got
he
scraped.
scraped his leg. Everybody else just kind of bounced off of
I
slippery
mean, it
rocks.
is a natural waterfall.
Yeah.
There is no,
There's no timeout.
it's rocks. You are literally
With
climbing
moving
straight
water.
up rocks.
Yeah.
But it's a lot
not,
of fun.
but it's not straight up. Like,
No, well, I mean,
I'm
it's
trying to picture how to say it.
watch our YouTube video.
Go check out our YouTube video. We've got YouTube videos out
I'm sure
there.
you can link it below, right?
Dunn's River Falls.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, and like I say, it's always fun. I would recommend anybody that goes to Jamaica, do not miss that. It is worth it.
Yeah.
Our other excursion, let's see, guys,
the tubing.
The tubing was great. I mean, it was fun.
It was okay.
It was a lot of fun. It was tubing / a little waterfall.
I told somebody the tubing, the video looks cooler than it actually was.
I wouldn't say that. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was only $65. It's not like that was a waste.
No, and it was a long tour.
And we stopped and jumped off of this little dock looking thing. We actually at one point got in a rubber raft. The six of us did with the guide, and we had to paddle. Went out into we went out into the ocean, not far, but just enough to freak me out for a second or two. But saw what, sea turtles?
Sea turtles, yeah.
poking their heads up while we were paddling past them.
Yeah, big sea turtles, like the size, their head was bigger than my fist. I was like,
So
look
that, I
at the
mean, it
size of
was.
those
I
things.
thought that was a great excursion.
Yeah.
And other than that, we did. Let's see, we had downtime the next day, and then the guys did the fishing. The ladies went shopping. Then we had another downtime day, chilling, and then the last day we did a pineapple coffee plantation tour. That tour wound up being a little longer than what we thought.
A lot
A
longer
lot longer than we thought.
with no coffee.
With yeah, that weird thing
Just
about it,
just pineapple and lunch.
the resort they and this tour they picked us up. It was part of the tour, but like I say, we
All
were
right.
in a nice air conditioned bus, and
Yeah,
we did get to see a lot of the island.
more than once.
And the plantation itself was beautiful. The weather was fantastic. Um, I'm not. It's not an excursion that I would do again. Like the falls I would do again. I don't know that I would do this tour again.
Yeah, I don't think so. I wouldn't do the tubing again. I'd want to do some other kind of tubing. I would want to do the tubing that we saw when we were at that rum tasting years
Yeah,
ago.
I'm not
That
sure
looked
which one that
cool,
was.
but it's got to be somewhere near the falls. This tubing that we went on was closer to our resort area. It was only like 20 minutes from our resort area, whereas the other tour had to be closer to the falls because that's where that rum tour was. Um, but I gotta say, like everybody we came into contact with was super nice. I only had maybe 12 guys offer me weed, which is a downturn from normal.
Yeah, I didn't have
They
that.
normally hand open the door. Here, let me get the door for you. Hey, man, he wasn't pot. I'm like, where'd the accent go, dude? You had the accent. But no, did not. I did not buy pot.
I
In case
do. I
anybody
did
from work
notice
is,
that they speak. Of course, they have their own dialect. They understand each other very well. They speak extremely fast,
yeah,
in my opinion. And I notice the everybody always knows that Jamaican people say yeah man. They do put man, yeah man, no man on the end of every yes and no.
mm-hmm.
That is one thing that I picked up on this time. I mean, you hear the songs and you hear people say exactly what they think Jamaican people say all the time, and it comes so natural to them. We had
Sure.
a tour guide yesterday that we were with. No, I'm sorry, Friday, and it's just like every time he said the word yes, he would say "mon" after it, and every time he said no, he would say "mon" after it. So it's just something that they learn from the very beginning, and it's just part of their everyday language.
Yeah, on our tubing tour, the guy kept getting tickled because I kept saying yes, sir.
Yeah,
He was like, yes, sir. I was like, that's what I'm taught to say.
right.
He goes, yeah, man. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's definitely they definitely have a different. They have a very laid back. Full. I mean, that's the way they are. It's the way that's the way they live.
Let's talk about our house a little bit too.
Our house was a beautiful home.
It's called Quadrille, Quadrille. You can find it on websites under Silver Sands or what was the other one? Sun Villas.
Sun Villas, I think, is the
The
older
Sun
website.
Villas is the older website, but it'll give you more pictures and images and stuff like that. But you can find it several ways online. There's multiple houses in the area, like she said, that offer up rentals. One night we went down to watch the sunset, and we ran into another couple there that said that they come all the time, and they've
Yeah,
rented
the guy. I
several
think the guy
houses.
said he'd been coming since he was 9 years old,
Yep,
and now he brings his kid. He's from They were from Manhattan.
they had, I think he said, his sister and their kids,
Yeah,
and it seemed like a big family affair, to come and you can see where it would be beneficial if you had multiple bedrooms and multiple bathrooms, and it's very user friendly.
but now the homes there are different in the sense that, and we learned this. We didn't learn this until we got there. The area that we were in was a gated community with a
Mm-hmm.
guard there. And trust me, that guard did not let anybody in without knowing exactly what they were coming in for.
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much were the same way about letting people out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is great. It makes everything so much more secure.
Yeah.
They definitely did not allow anybody in there that didn't need to be in there. The
I didn't see any weapons, but I'm sure they probably had some
I don't
stashed
know,
away.
the home we rented was an oceanfront home,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not like it was walk out to the beach. It
We
was
can walk out to the beach.
It was a
down about 100 stairs.
there was a but it was very nicely done. I mean,
Yeah.
the homeowner, we did learn that the homeowner is lives in Florida, and he's had this home for about 20 years. He's redone a lot of this house. Electricity in Jamaica is very expensive, and they most homes most homes there don't have air conditioning at all. This home, you could tell it did not have air conditioning in it, but they had added AC to the 4 bedrooms via window units or the split units that hang on the wall, like at the
Mm-hmm.
top of the ceiling. They had a couple of those. The only drawback to that was the main part of the house, the living room, dining room, and the kitchen
Kitchen.
area did not have any air conditioning at all. None. Now, the bedrooms, it was posted all over the bedrooms and in like really nice little posters or little cards that were standing up on your dresser that if you leave your bedroom for the day, please turn off the air condition. That electricity in Jamaica is very expensive. And if if the housekeeping lady came in to clean your room while you were gone, if you left your AC on, she would turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I think all 4 bedrooms pretty much stayed off all day. And then we would go in the evening and we would turn the air conditions on and close the bedroom doors and cool the rooms down. So, as far as being able to sleep, I will say, I mean, if I had to choose, I would take an air conditioning. If I had to choose one room, it would be the bedroom because that way you can actually rest at night
Yeah.
comfortably. The only drawback to that was going into this, I thought that I was really looking forward to the 4 couples being able to be in a house instead of a resort because we vacationed with these people before. We love
Mm-hmm.
to these these friends of ours. We love to have dinner, sit around and play some games. Have while you're having a beer. We could not do that.
Yeah.
It was just too hot
Yeah.
to
Well, and I'm sure that if you're local, it's not a big deal to
yeah,
you.
you're used to it. We're
We're not
not
used
used to
to
it.
it. We're
It
used to
did
air
make me
conditioning.
realize that we are, and I'm sure
We're spoiled.
we're very spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the Jamaican people dealing with a lot of people from the U.S. probably see that and think that of us all the time. I'm sure they
Sure.
do.
Sure.
I mean, we are extremely spoiled. We take air conditioning for we take it for granted.
Well, and if you have 4 couples, if you pause for a minute and just listen, somebody's whining about something at every moment. They're whining about bugs, or they're whining
Yeah.
about the temperature, or they're whining about they can't get their favorite whatever for their coffee, or I really wish I had blah blah blah. And it's like, shut up. I mean, I'm sure they're thinking that, but they don't say it. Very polite. But I did notice that we are spoiled. We're used to our creature comforts,
Yeah.
and I agree. I really liked the bedroom as far as the air conditioning goes. The room that
Oh,
we had, the bed needs to be replaced. The bed was an older bed, kind of like when you and I first met. I had a bed that was older that you would roll to the middle. This is one of those beds that you would roll to
yeah.
the middle. Um, what was very hard was the bathroom not having any air because
And on this house, 4 bedrooms, 2 of the bedrooms had in suite bathrooms, which meant when you went in for the evening, closed your door, and turned your AC on in your
yeah,
room, you could actually air condition your bathroom also.
it was hard to go to the bathroom and when you're sweating.
Yes. Um, we had a room and another couple had a room, or actually it was a single that was there by herself because another lady was not able to join us for the week.
And you know what? I'm weirdly glad she didn't come because who's going to have a queen bed?
Yeah, that's
It would
true.
have been you and me.
That's true, but she lives in Mexico, so she would have been the one that wouldn't have minded.
No, she'd have been like, "Oh, this is great. I get air conditioning in my bedroom." Yay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she's the one that would have been more accustomed to the not having air conditioning in the house. But yeah, that was definitely, if you're speaking pros and cons, that was definitely a con for me.
I really liked the pool. I know this is going to sound silly because I mean, we
Mm,
have friends with a pool and it's kind of nice to go over there to the pool. It was nice to walk out and just get
no,
in
it
the
was
pool right
nice it
away.
was very nice that the house had a pool, most definitely.
And you had the protection of the sun from the lattice on one side and the trees on the other side. So there was like early morning and evening where you weren't direct sunlight, but in the middle of the day you could get some sun
Oh
if you
yeah.
wanted. But you also had a little protection from not just cooking all day out there.
Now, I loved the beach.
The beach was
The
beautiful.
beach was by far, I would have to say, hands down, one of the prettiest beaches that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I It was a short. I mean, the climb down the hill, because this house is up on a cliff,
Yeah.
a rock cliff, which makes the view of the ocean absolutely spectacular.
Again, we have videos. We're going to link to
Yes.
this.
And once you went down the stairs to the water, you went downstairs. Down the stairs, there was a really nice gazebo with two hammocks hanging in it. And then you went on down some more stairs. The access to the beach was fantastic. This homeowner has done a great job of giving you access to the beach. It's not a lot of beach there, but the cool thing about this house is, in that community, which is a gated community, and it's public to anybody in that community, they had a really nice, almost like a little hotel on the
Like
beach,
a private beach.
and it was a private beach, but anybody in the Silver Sands community has access to that beach.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the nicer beaches I've ever been to.
Yep.
The sand was the most perfect sand. There was no shells. The water was absolutely gorgeous. They had a really good, like, wooden umbrellas that the resort had built, that you didn't have to worry about the wind blowing them over. These were super nice. You could tell these things were like cemented. Those things had to have been in the ground really good.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. They were massive umbrellas. And they had a nice little table built around the pole for the umbrella, which gave you a place to set cups, sunscreen, and without having to put stuff in the sand. Really nice Chase lounge chairs and Adirondack chairs, and more than enough room for 6 or 8 people to sit comfortably out of the sun and enjoy the beautiful view of the ocean and the breeze.
And
To me, that was the by far the best part of this trip.
And for those listening, the beach was protected by a coral reef that was sort of raised in an area that protected it from being hammered by the big waves. So you only got little waves where you were at, and they also had some buoys out there that were strung out so that you would know how deep you can go without being in kind of the danger area. They also had a lifeguard on duty who was keeping an eye out in case anybody needed help.
But there was very
Um,
few people.
there is very few
I
people
mean,
out
at
there.
one point, maybe
When
what?
the wedding was going on, it was probably the most people, but
Yeah, we
only a
had.
few of those people got in the water.
Yeah, there was a one day with a wedding, but
I
that
think
was
at the most maybe 15 people in the water.
total.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think there was even that many people in the water,
Yeah.
period. There was maybe 15 on the beach the day that there was one day that we spent all day at the beach. I want to
Yeah.
say it was maybe Thursday.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I went after breakfast. We didn't even eat lunch that day
I
because
stayed
we
in
had
the shade as much as I
I did
could
too. I
whenever I
did
was
too.
out of the water, just to dry off and kind of listen to the nice sounds and
Because it was just so
so
beautiful.
peaceful. But then I'd get kind of hot sitting out there. And I'm like, all right, it's
Yeah.
time to get in the water. And the water was warm, but not hot. I mean, it had there's like a cold stream that would come through once in a while and kind of hit you in your legs. And you're like, oh, it's cold right here.
Like I said, that's that was
It was
probably
very
my
nice.
favorite beach I've ever been to.
This down there, they had a little cantina thing with a bar, which had a great access to bar stuff, but the staff, in my opinion, just wasn't interested in
Yeah.
working there.
But that didn't
No, it didn't.
bother
It
me at
didn't
all.
deter from our
I don't.
thing. We could have brought stuff from up above, but it would have been carrying a bunch of stuff down. And but yeah, I mean, other than the limited staff there, all of that was perfect. But yeah, it was just breathtaking. I'd never seen ocean water that clear.
Well, I have always said that my favorite, if I had to pick a favorite beach to go sit on, my favorite before this week's vacation has always been Disney's Castaway Key, and not because it's owned by Disney. It's just where it's located.
Yeah.
Castaway Key is their private island that is down in the Caribbean. It's somewhere around the Bahama area. And when the ship docks there, anytime that we go, you and I go straight for, there's an adult side of the beach and a family side of the beach. And we, of course, since we don't travel with children anymore, we go automatically to the adult side. And it is just a beautiful setting. It's quiet. And until this past week, I would have said that hands down, that has always been my favorite pick of somewhere to go spend a day on the beach. But I would have to say after this week, where we were at is, man, if it's not my number one favorite now, it's a close second.
I know I was entertaining the thought of, I wonder if you and I could just rent a small place here and come here by ourselves.
And like I say, I don't
I had
know.
that thought. I mean, I know we probably won't, but that's a thought that I had because I was like, this is kind of nice if we did
It was
this
definitely
at our own
cheaper.
pace.
It was
And
it was cheaper.
I could see us spending a lot of time on that beach,
We did more excursions on this trip than we normally do.
mainly because we were with people who this was their first time to Jamaica.
Yes.
Um, I mean,
But also too, when you go to an all-inclusive resort, and I'm not knocking those, I love those.
yeah,
But when you go to one of those and you spend that kind of money, you overeat,
yep,
you overdrink,
yep.
and you have a tendency not to want to leave the resort because you
You
don't want
paid
to
to stay at the
spend,
resort.
well, and you don't want to spend any additional money on excursions,
Yeah,
and the excursions do cost.
right.
Now, Sandals, they do have snorkeling and things like that is free.
The Hobie Cats, the
Things like that are free.
yeah,
But if you do, if you went to any of the Sandals resorts in Jamaica, if you wanted to climb the falls, that's an excursion. It's going to cost you extra money. So this week was by far cheaper for the number of days that we were gone.
mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that my main complaint, if I'm looking for something to complain about, it would be the house not having full air condition.
Yeah,
Which I think all of us, all seven of us, that was our main complaint.
yeah.
We all loved the fact that it was cheaper. We absolutely, I love not having to get dressed for dinner. You could go.
I could show up with a shirt not
Yeah.
buttoned
Well, I
and
mean,
swimming trunks
yeah,
on, and
we didn't have
yeah,
to leave. I mean,
yeah,
when you go to a resort, I mean, you can order room service, yes, but unless you stay in your room 24/7, you would need to go to a restaurant to eat, and you do need to be a little bit more dressed for that. Here, we could go to the beach and stay all day, and if we didn't have time to shower before dinner, you just go to the table and have your dinner.
yeah,
I mean, I did not put on makeup all week long from
which
the
was
time we
really
got
nice.
we from the time we got there on Saturday night. When I took a shower Saturday night, I did not put makeup back on any at
Now,
all until yesterday.
knowing that, if you were to do this trip again, would you pack half as much?
Oh, heck no. Excuse me. No, no.
She almost said a bad
I
word on the
almost said a bad
podcast.
word.
Yeah,
No, but also our house she did laundry like twice while we were there,
that's what I'm saying.
and she cleaned I mean, if you
That's what I'm
provided
saying.
the,
If you did this
oh
again,
yeah, now I would pack a little tiny suitcase.
okay. Do you think I packed the right amount?
Oh yeah, but also too, you didn't get any clothes washed either.
No.
So I mean, it was 7 or 8 t-shirts coming back with you,
Yeah.
dirty.
And
But
7. My wife has a thing about my swimming trunks. She wants me to have one for each day. So 7 swimming trunks.
I'm not wearing
7 swimming trunks.
I'm not wearing a bathing suit.
I could have taken 2 and like rotated 7.
Yeah, but if they hadn't have been washed, no. That's
Listen,
they smell bad
I
after a
know,
while.
I know this is like a give and take of us fussing about this kind of stuff. I do appreciate that about you. I do.
What, that I don't allow you to wear dirty
Yeah,
bathing suits?
I mean, I give you a hard time about it, but I do appreciate you you care about me that way. I mean, I understand the thoughtfulness that goes into it. That's not lost on me. It is aggravating because I'm like, nah, I'm fine with just whatever.
You don't take two pair of swimming trunks for a 7-day vacation.
Listen,
No.
I was in the Marine Corps. They didn't even give us swimming trunks. They were like, just wear your skivvies. You're fine. I mean, we just swim in
I'm
underwear
just not doing that.
or not using. I mean, whatever. Just I think they gave.
If
I
I
think
did this
officially we had
again,
one pair, but
if I did this again, I think, and I've said this before. I don't know. You just have to remember that these islands in the Caribbean, air condition is not a it's not a staple. I
Right.
mean, it's not their first thing they think of.
Right.
And is it breezy? Yes, it is. But when you're in a house, it's not.
Well, it could have been where we were at. Because when we were
Uh,
out there on that little pier thing by the
yes, but
it
you
was
don't.
very breezy down there, but like our house is on the inside of the cove where the breeze is blowing this way, and it was just missing us. And maybe if we were in a different house, we would have had a breeze through. I don't know.
I don't know. Like I say, it is not air condition is not a necessity for them. I get, that's,
I could have put my clothes in my backpack.
but it's, are we still on that?
I could have had a
I tell you
backpack.
what, the next time we go on a trip, you take two swimsuits
No,
and for the whole week and you sleep
no.
in a different room.
What?
Yeah. I
What's that
mean,
got to
just
do with my swimming trunks? I'll take a shower.
they ain't nobody gonna want to be around. You'll be feeding the fishes for sure.
No, no, it's not like that.
Just stand them up in the corner. They'll be so old. They'll be so
I
dried
can
and
shower
crusty
with
after
them
a while.
on, and then they get
No,
shampoo into it, and then you twist them. That's how guys' swim trunks are made.
no, that is not how.
There's very little thought that goes into it. They're like they'll figure it out.
Just because you put very little thought into it doesn't mean that very little thought
Again,
goes into it.
I said I appreciate the fact that you're thoughtful in that way.
But it was a good week.
Yeah,
It was a good week.
I'm glad that the weather was just perfect because when we got married there 19 years ago, it
It
was
rained
very
every day.
rainy, and they were like, "Oh yes, the rainy season."
Although, if you look on
And
the
we were like,
calendar,
"What?"
this says that this is not the rainy season
This
for
year he
them.
goes, "Yeah, it's not the rainy season." I'm like, "It was 19 years ago," but whatever. Yeah.
But now they did say it's extremely dry there because
Yep.
we only got rain. Let's see, one evening, all of
Kind of
us,
sprinkled.
all of us went inside thinking that it. I think it did rain a good bit that night, but it was like later at night because everything was pretty wet on the porches the next morning.
Yeah, I
But
had no idea.
it,
Oh, and when we were leaving an excursion, it did
yes,
rain in the town that we went through, whatever town that
there was
was.
one town. There was yeah, that was on Monday. I
It
think
rained
it
its butt off.
poured. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, our driver said that they really needed that rain,
Yeah.
that it's extremely dry there right now. They usually have more water, more rain than what they've gotten. But by the time we
It
got,
didn't slow down the waterfall at Dunn's River.
no,
That's gonna come straight out of the mountain, right?
I have no idea.
I mean, that's kind of how that stuff works. I did hear them say that Ocho Rios was named because there were supposed to be 8 rivers, but there's only 4. And
Yes,
she was like, I don't understand why they said 8, but we just went with it.
it is a beautiful country. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely grown a lot in 19 years, but the coastline is beautiful. And then we went up in the mountains Friday for the plantation tour. It's beautiful in the mountains. It
What's her
is
name? Anisha?
no, no, her name was, I don't remember, Ali,
Alicia?
something like that.
She was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tour guide was great.
The tour was not what we signed up for, but she was great.
Yeah,
Lunch was pretty good too. I liked lunch. I liked whatever those greens were. You didn't care for them, but I liked them.
what was the name of those
I don't
greens?
know what the name of those greens were.
Oh, they
They
were
were kind of a
actually,
mixture between a turnip green and spinach,
yes, and it had the name
but they were
on the little
good.
plaque thing that, but I don't remember what they called it. Can you? And I remember what else did we have for lunch?
Chicken. Of course, we never run out of chicken, right? Plantains, rice and beans with some sauce.
It's called Callaloo, Callalloo.
Okay.
It is served throughout the Caribbean islands. The greens are typically from the Armoth family. It is it's a substitution for the types of greens that we eat, which is like spinach, collard, and kale.
That's kind of the taste it had.
And
I liked it.
it says these intensely fiery sauteed greens served with fried plantains are perfect to accompany fish or grilled meats. Speaking of fish, we did try
Barracuda.
we tried barracuda because that's what y'all caught.
Mm-hmm.
No, what I was
Good.
going to say, oh yeah, the barracuda was really good.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say was one of the dishes that she cooked us, which was for breakfast, a traditional. It was called a key and saltfish.
A key and saltfish,
A
which we
key,
found saltfish is also cod,
yes, and it has a lot of bones in it,
and it's very
but
salty.
it's very salty, and it is cooked with a key, which is a fruit that when the fruit is cooked, it looks like scrambled eggs. So it
Yep.
kind of looks like scrambled eggs and fish. She did cook that one morning. Everybody tried it, but I don't think anybody came away from it saying that they wanted that one again.
Well, because the saltfish was way too
It's
salty.
very salty.
I did talk to a guy on one of our tours, and he said, "Try it with bacon." He
Yeah,
goes, "You'll really like it
a
with
key and
bacon,"
bacon, but we didn't.
because he said that's how I normally eat it.
But they also said that the ackee is a fruit that grows on a tree, and
It's in the apple family
it's in the apple family, but it's also poisonous. If it
initially.
initially it's poisonous. And we asked, how do you know when it is ready to eat? And he says that
The bottom splits
the
open.
bottom splits open and it releases that a poisonous gas.
Yeah.
And that's whenever.
Also, the barracuda can be poisonous. The guy was telling us that. He said you can tell by their teeth. If their teeth are milky white, then the meat is no good. We were like, how is his teeth? And he goes, I don't know. He held it and he goes, yeah, it looks fine. He puts it back down. And I was like, I asked Danny, I said, did you get a look at those teeth? He goes, there's a lot of them. I didn't see if they were white or not. So, yeah, but I mean, he was like, it's not bad. He goes, you get a little stomach ache. It's fine.
But now,
like,
as far as like offshore fishing,
yeah,
would you do it again?
no,
Okay.
no, that was ridiculous.
I knew
Listen, I should have learned from Gilligan's Island. It's not a 3 hour tour, and you're going to end up somewhere talking into a coconut phone.
I don't think y'all did
We
any
didn't
of
talk into
that.
a coconut phone, but it was not a 3 hour tour. It was, God, it must have been 6 hours
Because they're actually
round
supposed to
trip.
be 4, I think.
We were supposed to be 4 hours, but it took all of 3 hours to get out 25 miles of just rough seas. They were like, oh no, it's like 2 foot seas, man. And I was like, okay, I can handle 2 foot seas. Before long, it was 12 foot seas, and we were leaving the surface water and then crashing back down into another wave, and bang, bang, bang. And I was not having a good day. I took some Dramamine. I tried to keep my balance. I was watching Danny. Danny at one point was just he had his knees locked into the edge of the boat and was somehow riding it like a cowboy. He's doing like this, and uh, Joe was with us, and Joe had a nice seat. But every time Joe would he wanted to fish. This is the thing he signed up for, and he invited two strangers to come along with him because he was like, I don't want to go by myself. It's kind of weird. Um, just took a chance talking to his wife Kim, who knew Cindy, who knew us, and they were like, "Hey, these guys might be interested." Brought us along just because
Oh, and
he
deep
didn't
sea
want to be by
fishing is
himself.
not cheap.
And no, I heard him say it was like $800 to charter
Yeah.
the boat. So we all go out, and Joe kept wanting to do something, but God bless him. Every time he stood up, we'd hit a wave, and he almost fall over the boat, and he'd have to catch himself. And I was standing in the doorway because I was trying to keep my balance and stay out of everybody's way because the crew was trying to work, and it was a little bit of chaos.
Well,
And I was good and wore out by the time we got back to the
yeah,
room. I was ready to go to sleep when we got back.
it's just like, I'm sure which I heard him say, because we met Joe and his wife earlier in the week, and I'm sure it's like, he's made a comment that it was something he had always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure. How many times does that happen though? That oh my gosh, this is something I've always wanted to do this, and then it turns out to be not what you think.
Well, but
that was one expensive
still...
ass barracuda fish.
Well,
y'all
yeah. Plus, I had to pay for them
Plus,
to
you
cook
had to
it,
pay for them to cook it,
and we had to tip the guy, and yeah, that was probably $1,000 trip we just did, and we got 1 2 foot long barracuda out of it. But Joe made a comment. He said, you don't catch fish; fish catch you, and he's right. You just put the hook in the water and hope something grabs a hold of it, but the fish caught us. We just happened to enjoy eating.
I'm just glad. I'm glad he got to experience it. If it was something that he's always wanted to do,
and I'm glad that none of us got sick. None of us got sunburned.
Not terribly by no means. I think everybody got a little bit red, but nothing
Joe had
major.
a little bit of peelage on his forehead, but yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been better. I was really hoping that Joe would hook something big because this was his thing that he's been wanting to do. Imagine having a dream like that. Like, I want to do this thing.
Yes, but I'm sure fishing is always that way. You never know.
And with the barracuda, it just so happens that it was on the right side of the boat. Danny was on the right side of the boat as it latched on. The guy's like, "Hey, grab that, reel it. And he started reeling in the other line so it wouldn't get twisted up. And Joe's on the left side of the boat, and we didn't catch anything else. And I was like, oh, I wanted it more for Joe than I wanted it for me, because I took my camera along that Lee let us borrow, that DJI Action 4. I wanted to film him catching a cool fish. I mean, that was kind of my whole goal, is I hope I get to film somebody catching one. Even if we caught a bunch of them, it'd be kind of fun to reel one in. But I really wanted to see like one of these big game fish, like a
Yeah.
marlin or, a
Yeah, y'all were
mahi.
talking real big before the
Oh
trip.
man, that would have been cool to see. Oh man, but it's sort of the story of, I went out into safari and I caught something, or I didn't, and that's often the case with
And y'all
fishing.
didn't.
And we caught
But
we did catch a
A
barracuda,
barracuda.
a little barracuda,
$1,000 barracuda.
It was delicious. Not $1,000 delicious,
Good.
but it was delicious. And I think Joe had a good time. I mean,
Well, I mean, like I said, that's now you've done it. I
yeah,
mean, you've experienced it.
yeah.
Of course, on that day, I went shopping, and I think it's an excursion that I can do again.
I think you got more for your buck than I did.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, and Joe definitely didn't get his money's worth out of it. Sorry,
But I'm
Joe.
glad that I don't. He would not have he would not have went by himself.
I enjoyed meeting Joe and hanging out with Joe.
Oh yeah, very nice
He's
people.
A very nice
super
guy.
nice, super nice people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you and Danny were there to go with him, because he probably wouldn't have went by himself.
Yeah.
So that part of it was good.
And Danny had a blast.
Yeah.
As always.
Yes, Danny.
He was in his element. He was like, this is my thing, man. Plus he got to talk to, because of his work, he got to talk to the captain of the boat and talk about how the thing that he does for work translates into what they do. So yeah, that was kind of neat. They did get to chat a good bit about that. So
but it was a good week.
Yeah.
Good week.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we came back home and there's a cicada outbreak, and
we run through some of those last night coming back from the airport. Now, that speaking of airports, this was our first experience flying in and out of Charleston,
and also flying. Well, no, I would say flying into Jamaica. I wanted to comment on the fact of, I really like their check-in process through customs.
Yes.
The new kiosk thing that they have.
Oh yeah, they've updated all of that.
Super nice.
It's super nice.
The only drawback was there's a height requirement to see the camera.
Yeah, and I didn't make it.
Apparently you're just barely there on your tiptoes.
So yeah, it was very comical in the airport, in the Jamaican airport, when I was trying to, because you do all your forms online for customs,
which was new for us,
which was, had all that filled out, no problems there. But you have to actually scan your passport and have your picture taken at a kiosk, a little kiosk terminal. And there was a
30 or 40.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of them, so more than enough to accommodate the people. But the only bad thing was mine never would turn green to take my picture because I weren't tall enough. So
I heard a guy say, if you have children, they don't have to do this part, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't have a child, but
I have a child size.
Do you have some books you could?
I thought I was going to have to get lifted up just in order to. Yeah. And I don't know. Finally, the thing gave up.
But it was very user friendly.
The thing gave up and took a picture of the top of my head.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. You got you with your going. You're looking at the camera, just how you want your picture taken for that. But then we got to go through, the check-in process with the customs was very easy, and then flying back.
Well, yeah, we flew out yesterday morning around
from Charleston and back into Charleston was very nice.
Yes, most definitely. It went through customs in Atlanta this time, which we've done customs in Atlanta before. We've also done custom and we've done customs in Miami. Knock on wood, we have not had any issues with customs. Yesterday it was easy breezy. It was simple. And
getting in and out of the Charleston airport was super friendly as well. I mean, as far as your
parking was,
your GPS works in the direction you need it to go. Parking was simple. Getting out of parking was simple. We were there for a week. It was $63 for parking.
No, it was $88.
I thought it was 63.
It was $88.
Where'd I get 63 from?
I have no idea where you got 63 from. Still $88 for 7 days, because we parked at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday morning the 20th, and then we came back yesterday evening. And I mean, getting off the plane, by the time we could get off the plane, just run into the bathroom to potty real quick after being on the plane, by the time we got to our bags were ready. I mean, our bags were right there. So
we didn't have to wait on bags at all. They were just like, boom, here you go.
I mean, we landed and got out of that airport in less than an hour.
Record time.
Yes, that was
quicker than Florence.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
So that was a really good experience. Plus, it was it's only $88 for the week, so that was what $12 a day for parking.
Yeah.
The Columbia and the Charlotte airport are both way more expensive.
Yeah.
Now the Columbia airport is a lot closer for us. The only downside to Charleston is the fact that it is further. But if I had to choose between Charleston and Charlotte for the drive, I would hands down take Charleston.
Yeah, me too.
Because it is so easy to navigate.
Yeah,
and Charleston has just gotten to where
if we
it's
go to Charlotte, you got to take a bunch of back roads.
Ooh, sorry.
That's a live mic.
Yeah,
by the way.
I know. I just
smack it. It does that noise.
The the Charlotte airport is it's gotten to where it's horrendous.
Yeah. Well, and also getting in and out of there is crazy.
Oh, it's hard. It's difficult, and then the parking, even whenever you have to be bussed 40 miles away to go get your car, that takes forever. And you still pay $15 a day. I think it's the cheapest parking they have.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, because of where it's located and because it's an international airport now, it's going to end up being like Atlanta at some point. Where you got to like book it and then, be down the road 3 miles and you have a bus come pick you up.
But I sure wish they'd get their crap together more like Atlanta.
Yeah.
They need the what is that? The tram that runs between the terminals.
Well, and we did that one. That was we booked it online with that ride along bus where we programmed in we were going to be there, and the bus came by and picked us up and took us to the airport. Remember, it was like 3 or 4 miles away from the airport.
Was that Atlanta?
It was like a long-term parking thing.
So we went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
That wasn't 52. Oh, I keep doing that.
Listen, you're not dreaming this up. She's actually smacking the microphone.
I keep slapping the microphone.
she can't help herself. This is why we can't have nice things.
I know, right?
One of us is always tearing up something. But no,
anyway, good week.
Silly.
Good week. What we got coming up next? Let's see. We go to Atlanta in a couple weekends. Actually, the next thing coming up is your 50th birthday.
Yeah, whatever.
It's coming up in a couple weeks.
It's just a day, baby.
I know.
Yeah.
Then we've got a wedding to go to in mid-May. So we've got to go to Alpharetta, Georgia. Is that Atlanta? That's Atlanta, right?
It's north of Atlanta.
So we've got to go to Alpharetta, Georgia for a weekend.
Yeah. We'll actually not go into Atlanta, and GPS may send us towards Greenville and then
I hope
down.
so. I hope we don't have to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we had talked about doing a Braves game because they're playing the San Diego Padres while we're there.
It'd be hard to.
It's not going to work.
Wiggle in there.
Yeah. It's not going to work because I really don't want to take any time off work for that. I would love to see a Braves game though.
Yeah.
Something I've always wanted to do, and I hear that their newer stadium is extremely nice.
Yeah.
But not on this trip.
Nope, not on this trip.
And then we've got I'm gonna be going up to Ohio sometime, hopefully this summer. I'm going up to visit.
I gotta look at my dates because I got stuff coming up too.
I'm gonna visit friends up in Ohio, and also going to the Cedar Point amusement park, which is in Sandusky, Ohio, on Lake Erie. I can't wait to do that. I've always wanted to go there.
I hope it's not named after that Sandusky guy from the football team.
I hope it don't turn out to be like your fishing trip. I always wanted to do it, and then catch one barracuda. I
know. So Ben and Anna's wedding mid-May. And then I've got the Fully Loaded Burt Kreischer Festival in Orange County, Alabama in late June. Jeep Invasion.
That's in August though.
Kaylee's wedding.
That's September.
Disney.
That's not till December.
I didn't put my I'm going to see Tyler Childers with my brother in Alpharetta. I gotta find those dates and put them in my calendar because I haven't done that yet. I'm falling behind.
Chop chop.
Dang it. What's wrong with me? I gotta get organized. Anyway.
I think we've talked to this one to death.
No, we haven't.
Oh, sure we have.
No, we have.
It was great.
It was great. I can't say enough about the staff. Our cook was amazing, specifically our cook.
Watch our videos.
Shireen was great.
We made a lot of videos that week.
We didn't film her cooking because that's just weird. But we enjoyed her a lot.
We did.
And we enjoyed hanging out with each other and just getting some time to relax and not think about work. And it was kind of convenient that our devices weren't working exactly perfect, so we couldn't do a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's back to the grindstone, nose to it.
Yep. Most definitely.
So anyway, I will link the videos of our trip into the link on YouTube. If you're watching this, check it out. And for everybody
If
listening,
nothing else, you got to watch the Dunn's River.
yeah, if you're listening to this, you got to go on YouTube and look us up under
Yeah.
Stuff I Heard and find this podcast. This is going to be episode 459. 459.
Wow.
Yep. And yeah, I'll have the links in the description. So check that out. And for those listening, if you enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends. And as always,
Cue the cow, baby.
Cue the cow. Moo, baby.